Good evening. Okay, so we're here with the Epilepsy Foundation of Greater Chicago. I'm Martine CBS2, and we've got the chairman of the board, Howard Zern, here today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And so tell us just a little bit about, what are your thoughts on this event today?
This is a tremendous event, and again, being with the Epilepsy Foundation of Greater Chicago, we want to thank everyone that's here, everyone in Los Angeles, CBS Chicago. It's just been a tremendous day for everyone.
You know, why is it so important to have an event like this to help raise the awareness?
It's just, you know, a lot of people that are involved with epilepsy personally still are looking for other people to understand more about it itself, and then also learn about other resources such as the Epilepsy Foundation that need help when they're involved with epilepsy, and others that just don't know anything about it. We always learn as we grow up.
You know, and talk with us a little bit about your own diagnosis.
Sure. So 28, I had my first seizure, grand mal seizure, and we knew nothing about it. And after research from my mother, she found the Epilepsy Foundation of Greater Chicago, and that's when we really started to learn about epilepsy, finding doctors and resources to help my diagnosis and help me start to learn what I was going to do to hopefully control the epilepsy that I was having.
Talk with us a little bit about that. What kind of a difference did that make in your life and your family's life to know what you were dealing with and that you had that network of people that might be able to help you?
Sure. I mean, it was learning about the people that could help us was call it the game changer. But, you know, learning with my wife, Janine, we just didn't know. And then learning about the different types, my doctors at Northwestern here in Chicago, meeting them, learning more about the resources here. And then for my mother, talking to other parents of their kids that have epilepsy, for me to talk to other people that have epilepsy. Again, we just didn't know, and that's one of the great things about the foundation and the awareness that we all try to do with everyone.
Speaking of the Foundation of Greater Chicago, Epilepsy Foundation of Greater Chicago, how many people are you serving in the Chicago area?
So in Chicago alone, I mean, you guys all heard the numbers, but there's approximately 120,000 people just in the greater Chicago area with epilepsy that have been diagnosed, and that does not really account for, number one, people that haven't been formally diagnosed, people that are coming back from servicing that are having seizures, which is very common, athletes that have seizures, people that just unfortunately have cancer that have seizures. I mean, other types of illnesses, people have seizures all the time.
What is the most important part for somebody who might be at home, who might have had some kind of seizure, might have had some signs that they might be having this? As far as that person sitting home who's not been diagnosed, what would you advise them?
I would advise, I mean, besides calling the foundation, but definitely call a doctor and ask them the question, do they understand and do they have a knowledge of seizures and epilepsy? Because every doctor is still learning a lot of this themselves. I mean, this is a lot of it is new with the growth and the development over the past several years of other surgeons and other doctors. There's been so many changes over the past 20 years.
Speaking of which, how long have you been with the foundation?
So I've been with the foundation. I've been on the board for maybe 6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What have you found? You were talking about all the developments in the past 20 years. What's the most promising to you, not only as someone who's a part of this foundation, but somebody who has epilepsy?
I mean, one of the main things is meeting other people that are able to speak to the foundation and then learn speaking to others and other family members to help learn about it themselves and how to live with it day to day, because it is a very difficult thing to live with it day to day.
Okay, and of course, you guys are here to help anyone out there who might need those resources and put them in touch with those in need.
Absolutely. We have do case management. We have people that, again, we are fortunate enough that we have with the Camp Blackhawk that was mentioned earlier, which is a great thing for kids to get to go to camp for 2 weeks during the summer. We have walks, you know, again, just to increase the awareness. And so we just like to help people continue the awareness and getting assistance to learn more about what to do on a day-to-day basis.
You know, and since you mentioned Camp Blackhawk, some people might not have seen the segment a little bit earlier here in Chicago. Talk with us a little bit about Camp Blackhawk and why that's so important for kids.
Sure. Camp Blackhawks is a camp that they get to go to for a week by the Epilepsy Foundation of Greater Chicago, and it's an overnight camp. And it's a tremendous, athletic, wonderful thing that the kids get to do that a lot of time kids with epilepsy and seizures don't have the opportunity to do.
All right. Thank you so much,
Thank
Howard.
you very much.
Speaking of Camp Blackhawk and other things the foundation does, that always requires money. So I'm going to turn now to Miss Siha here, Marlene Siha with Savers, and talk with us a little bit about how you guys help the Epilepsy Foundation of Greater Chicago as far as funds.
Sure. Savers started in 1954, and we're a nation chain of thrift stores. Here in Chicagoland, we've partnered with Epilepsy, and that partnership started in 2011. And we're very excited about it, being able to partner with such a great organization that's helping so many people, as you can see, everybody that's here. And what we do is basically there's a couple different ways you can get involved that way. And if you wanted to come and bring donations on site to one of our 4 locations, Savers locations here in the Chicagoland, you can, and everything that you donate is to benefit epilepsy. So it helps to speak to those 120,000 people that are affected by the disease here. And you can also have a couple different ways. You could go to donateillinois.org, and there you can set up a pickup for residential. If you also wanted to do a fund drive, if you wanted to benefit the epilepsy and really get involved in your community and get your community to get involved, maybe where you live or your organization, then we can have a fund drive that will totally benefit Epilepsy Foundation of Greater Chicago.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us. Of course, that's talking about how they can help. Let's talk a little bit about somebody who's been living with epilepsy, and Eva, help me with your last name, Wadzinski. I got the Eva right, so correct?
Yes, yes.
And you're 18 years old.
Yes.
When were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed 12 to 13, yeah.
What was that like for you at 12 to find out you have epilepsy?
It was definitely scary. Like I was right going into high school, and going into high school is scary enough. And then when you get diagnosed with a chronic illness, and that's just added on top of it. And so you're just, yeah, and so.
And that changed your high school experience. You talked a little bit about having to move to online courses. Why did you feel like that was the better route for you?
It was a better route because I would go through some very bad days when I could get 40 seizures a day. And then seizures give you, like, you are down for the count for the whole day and with more days. Mm-hmm. And so then you lose homework. You don't get to have the lectures of school. And then that's more stress. And stress is a trigger for me. And so then that's just like a vicious cycle. And so I needed to go to online school so I could become the high schooler that I wanted to be, because my grades would start dropping down. Mm-hmm. And you want to have a good GPA as a high schooler. And so I switched to online school, and I was able to graduate earlier.
And you're in college now.
I'm going into college.
Okay.
Yeah, I graduated this year, so yeah.
And what are you looking forward to studying?
I do want to get into communications, public relations, and media.
Okay. And so, you've lived with it for 6 years. How have you found in the 6 years that your epilepsy has become more manageable?
It's very hard. It's still a struggle for me because it's intractable. I've gone through 7 medications. I've gone to Mayo Clinic twice now. I actually just got back from a brain surgery 3 weeks ago. So we're still trying to figure it out. And
talk with us a little bit about, because you were saying one of your frustrations is sometimes people don't know how to approach. What would you like people to know about someone who has epilepsy?
I think to listen to people who have epilepsy. I think people listen to respond and don't listen to understand, because I went through bullying. I went through even adults bullying me. Mm-hmm. Teachers, for some reason, think that we are the problem, when really I think it starts with teachers being to educate and for guidance counselors to educate. Because if I had a seizure, a teacher would send me to a guidance counselor because they were scared. Mm-hmm. And my math teacher thought, because one of my seizures is I couldn't read if I had a seizure, he thought that, it's reading, it's not the same as numbers, so apparently I could still do my math test. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much cruelty.
And sometimes people's first reaction is fear, because they don't know how to handle it, especially children. I've been around young children when someone else is having a seizure. Mm-hmm. What can you talk to them about? Like, what could they do for a child in a moment like that, having a seizure, that might be able to help that child get through the seizure and also help them understand the situation?
For when a child does have a seizure?
Mm-hmm.
I think they just have to be there to first protect them, to make sure things are moved away. Also, you do just have to stand there, and it does make the person feel powerless. Do not put something in their mouth. I know that is something that people do, because people get wrong information. You just have to make sure something is by their head, so they don't hurt themselves. But you do and don't call an ambulance at first. You do have to time it. But people get the wrong knowledge, and that's why you have to go to the epilepsy.com to figure that stuff out.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Eva. And that is the latest here in Chicago at CBS 2 Chicago for the watch party with the Epilepsy Foundation of Greater Chicago. You guys have been very well behaved and quiet, but you can cheer because this is a great day to raise awareness. It's very important, all the work that's being done here in Chicago and, of course, across the nation. We're going to send it back to you guys in LA. Have a great day.